infernal blessings. Alright, back with another video. Before I begin, as I like to always get out the information when people are always reaching out, what's the best way to sign up for your classes or the different classes that you offer? Real simple. The best way to take or sign up for any of the classes I offer is at patreon.com /Baniti, Baniti. That's patreon.com /Baniti, Baniti. Tier 3 is the way to go. Tier 3 gives you access to the 3 private classes I do every month on Patreon, in addition to the group ritual. And it's for Patreon members only. That's 3 classes every month. And Tier 3 gives you access to all 3 of those classes. Also, if you're interested in a spiritual reading or a spiritual consultation, again, the various different readings I offer are telepathic, demonic readings, Egyptian oracle readings, shadow work readings, which is a great place to start or begin if you're looking for a direction to go in. If you're not sure where you should begin, shadow work readings help establish and unlock the shadow or the hidden self, a lot of things that could be blocking you and suppressing your growth, and it deals with what you got currently going on around you right now, and it'll point you in the right direction of where you need to be. I think I said Santa Muerte readings if I didn't. Deity readings, which help and assist you with what spirits and demons walk with you to help you on your path of self-mastery, to strengthen that connection with deity and spirit and not to worship it. Anyway, for a full list of spiritual readings and consultations, you can email me at khnum19@gmail.com. Also, the 6th annual Journey of the Black Adept Conference. You can sign up for that now. Just before I came on and recorded this video, I responded to a few emails that have now started to come in inquiring about how to sign up for the conference. You can sign up for it virtually or live in person. Shoot me an email and request the information for which one you want to attend. Also, all the new content that I've been uploading and will continue to upload, this will also be available in audio files on the Primordial Chaos podcast, which you can find the link in the description box of this video. Which, it's nice if you want to listen to it in the car while you're exercising or just doing stuff around the house, etc. All right, having said that, let's get into our topic. I told you in the last video I would do a follow-up. In this video, I want to focus on demonic integration work. What is it? Working with your personal daemon, demonic integration work, the importance of that, right? To kind of piggyback. And I'm going to do a video, this will kind of finish off those 3 pillars that I consider on this path that are foundational pillars on the path to self-mastery. Okay, I consider the 3 pillars in the foundation. And again, this is a formula that I've established through my personal work that is very effective and it works for me, okay? And it is a methodology that I use now when I work with others, people that are in the mentorship program. And it's kind of a formula I use to teach, especially people coming into the path. And as I've said before, those 3 pillars or foundational pillars of shadow work, demonic integration work, and ancestral veneration, if you have those 3 flowing and you really have that as your foundation, your base on your spiritual path in your work, you will find out you will accelerate fast and grow on this path. So what is demonic integration work, right? We hear the term personal daemon. We also hear the term in Egyptian Heker or Egyptian Hermeticism, the term agathodaemon, right? And the word daemon itself, real quick, let's break that down. The word daemon, Daemon, as I said, is the word they get the negative word demon from, Demon, which comes later in monotheistic religions, especially Christianity. And we know the term and the description they give to the word demon is obviously very negative. It involves imageries of Christianity when it comes to spirits and demons and the devil and everything that religion creates in its mythology, right? The word, though, has its origin. It's a Greek word that means intelligent or genius self, right? For those that work the path of Egyptian Hecker, and I think that's the next, we'll be focusing on some Egyptian Hecker videos next. Just came to me while I was just talking. Anyway, it's how it works sometimes. For those that practice Egyptian Heka, you will see it under the term agatho-daemon, which is basically the same thing. It's the genius, the higher self, the true self. When you look now into modern day occultism here in the West, or the left-hand path, it takes from a lot of those systems in Eastern left-hand path philosophy, and the occult in general, and we get this understanding of it when we work with it, of how we work with it in modern day, of connecting with the higher self, the real self, the personal daemon within. Now, when we go to, for an example, Crowley and his teachings of the holy guardian angel, right? He referred to it as the holy guardian angel, and he had a name for his holy guardian angel, Aloas, right? And he believed Aloas was communicating with him. Aloas was the one that gave him the book of the law. He, says he received it in Egypt in his personal experience that he had with Aloas, right? So you will hear it used in certain philosophies as the holy guardian angel. Even Catholicism uses it, as it teaches, obviously, with the veneration and worship of so many different saints and angels. They also teach in Catholicism that each individual has its own personal guardian angel. So I will use that term, which is to kind of simplify this. Now, is the question that always comes up, is your personal daemon, or if you want to refer to it as your holy guardian angel or your higher self, is it actually a manifestation of it, right? Or is it something that manifests outside of yourself, right? Or does your personal daemon manifest itself, right? If you want to look at it in that light. Yes, okay? Yes, it definitely does. But it manifests itself on a multitude of levels, because that inner being, or when you have that intuition, or you have that inner voice, that's an aspect of your personal daemon communicating and speaking with you. When you've, over the years, when you've got that intuition and you strongly sense something, and think about the many times when you did listen to that inner voice, it helped you, and then think about the many times when you went against that intuition or inner voice, how it got you into some serious shit, right? So it works both ways. That has always been a sign of the personal daemon always being there, even before you, quote unquote, might have labeled yourself, being on this path, right? It's always been there. But we, again, through indoctrination and programming, we have been suppressing that, again, knowingly and unknowingly, right? And we suppress it by chasing after things, trying to become things that we actually are not, whether it's obtaining a certain lifestyle and image just to impress others, whether it's feeding into false aspects of our ego, whether it's embracing systems and incorrect information of indoctrination, cultural and religious upbringing, and a bunch of things that have affected us, again, knowingly and unknowingly, right? So the personal daemon can only truly emerge when one starts to reprogram themselves. And as I said before, one of the key aspects of being a successful black adept or magician, and one of the understandings of magic, is the ability to reprogram the subconscious mind, right? So until you start to until you start stopping suppressing your personal daemon or your higher self, things don't change, right? So what has to happen to make that emerge, you have to start to strip away all those illusionary things. You have to destroy, annihilate, and completely eliminate those things that are holding you back, which are obviously tied into person, places, and things. Once you remove that illusionary veil that you've been trapped under for so many years, then the true daemon can emerge, which is the higher conscious. You could call it the superconscious. We always talk about the subconscious, the conscious. There's also something called the superconscious. And what guides that superconscious is your personal daemon, or your true and higher self, okay? When you start communicating with that, and that starts to facilitate, that is what connects you to the spirit world or to the realm of the demons, the gods, and the goddesses. And I said before, over the years, you really don't have a strong connection until the personal daemon from within emerges, right? Because I always use this analogy. Look at the personal daemon like you would if you go back to a time, some of you might be too young to understand, when you go back to the older cars, right? The older cars, now forget it, you open the hoods of these newer cars, you don't even know what the fuck you're looking at. But back in the day, we were able to give our cars tune-ups, change spark plugs, the carburetor, distributor cap. It was easy to get to. We did all those things. We didn't take it nowhere. Now forget it. These cars are like, you open it up, it looks like rocket science. But there used to be a thing on these older cars called a distributor cap. The distributor cap is what distributes the spark to all the spark plugs. When the distributor cap goes bad, the spark plugs don't get sparks and the car don't turn over and start. And sometimes your spark plugs can go bad and you got to replace them, etc., etc. Well, look at the personal daemon as the distributor cap of yourself. And when we don't have those sparks flowing freely and ignited, we're not truly awake. You can think you're awake, because your personal daemon, that distributor cap or that personal daemon, it facilitates the power, for one, that makes everything in the car run. When your personal daemon is awoke, okay, or awakened, I should say, let me correct that term, it connects you to everything that we talk about in the spiritual world. It makes you less dense. It speeds up your vibrational frequency. The pineal gland is activated and open. The chakras start to function how they're supposed to the very crown, which when people say their crown is open, your crown can only be open when the personal daemon emerges. That's the occult understanding. People will tell you otherwise. They can have their own opinion. But when we look at it from an occult left-hand path perspective, that's when you know your crown chakra is really open, okay? Because then the personal daemon can emerge and you are open and receptive to whole light or spiritual beings, for lack of a better word. Okay, that's why I've said, you've heard me say many times over the years, you will know when your personal daemon has emerged or is fully awakened within you, right? You start to see extreme changes and results in all facets of your life, right? Things tend to just flow. Stuff comes to you. Awareness and the psyche and how you perceive things is crystal clear. I'm just trying to give you little examples of how this works. Okay? So demonic integration work, a term you will hear, is critical and important, because really, in essence, a lot, when you hear me use these 3 pillars, a lot of these pillars are ingrained pretty much in every aspect of ritual work you do. Because every aspect of ritual work you do, there is something to some degree aimed at awakening the true or the higher self or the personal daemon within. It should be, right? So when you're awakening this personal daemon, how do you connect with it? Is there a literal manifestation of this? Yes, there's ritual work in there. Again, another book I will refer you to, The Black Ship. There's others, but The Black Ship is a good book to begin. The Black Ship by Malthus, again, which probably not too many, very limited hard copies. There's almost next to none out there. Excuse me. There's next to none out there. There's a few hard copies circulating on the internet, but as I said before, they are charging ridiculous prices for that. But it is available for free in PDF format on the Scribd or the Scribd app, however you say it, and it is available on Kindle Amazon in digital format for $8.99. If you don't have that book, I recommend you get it. Great book to start out on how do I do my work to start the process of connecting with my personal daemon or higher self. There is a ritual in there, which is a good starting point. So some manifest their personal daemon. The daemon will appear to you. It could appear to you in whatever form that you naturally manifest it. Some describe it as being an image. Some say no image manifests, but there's a connection there. It could be connected through messages, a presence, or some other type of personal experience. Some have a full-blown manifestation of that spirit where It could take on shape and form, and sometimes it reveals itself. It can give you a name. It could be a multitude of facets. I'm just giving you examples how the personal daemon can manifest for you on a personal level, how you need to see it and experience it. But it resides within. It's that constant connection. It's you feel the presence. It's that inner voice. It's that inner communication that's always giving you guidance. It's the God that dwells within. Some of you that have been in a mentor program, or some of you that have done a self-realization right in the mirror, if you gaze at yourself long enough in the mirror, you kind of feel like there's a presence from within looking out at you. That's your personal daemon, right? If you've ever done mirror magic or mirror work, when you've ever been in a room of darkness, in complete darkness, and you get this feeling of some presence being in the room, or the boogeyman, right? Especially when you were a younger kid, or if you ever slept in a dark room and your mind started to play tricks on you, and you felt like there was something in the room, or you looked and you thought you saw some shadowy figure, or you had your jacket hanging on the back door and you thought it was a person. That fear that rises to the surface in the darkness is the real you. You think it's some boogeyman or some presence outside of yourself, but it's not. It's the real you. And this is why sometimes people get very uncomfortable in silence and darkness. And they can't stay still. They can't focus. They get very uneasy. Because there's this automatic programming aspect of fear that kicks in. And really what they're fearing is themselves. And this is why I always suggest people a good exercise to do is to sit sometimes in darkness and silence and focus on your thoughts. People fear that sometimes because if you do that, an influx of thoughts are going to come to your head. Some of it's going to be complete stupidity. Because sometimes when you're sitting in silence and darkness, your mind wanders to stupid shit like, what am I going to do when I get out of here? Oh, there's a piece of cheesecake in the refrigerator I'm going to eat. Or tomorrow I'm going to go stop at such and such. Because, again, as I've said before, your mundane conscious is like a sponge. It's always looking for something that makes it feel secure and something it can latch on to make it keep it entertained, so be it, or occupied, but also to make it feel safe. That's the root of your insecurities and your fears. That's the conscious self or the mundane self. Your superconscious, which is connected to your personal daemon or your higher self, that's the real you that's trying to emerge. It can't emerge when you suppress it with lower frequencies and vibrations, which is at the root of unproductive or negative thinking that downplays that vibrational frequency. There's a saying in alchemy, one must make themselves less dense to connect to the spirit world. Well, when you got things weighing you down, now calcify you spiritually. We talk about calcification in alchemy and how your pineal gland and different aspects of yourself are calcified. And it's calcified through various different aspects of, again, indoctrination, physical things in your mundane world like stress, money problems, family problems, and personal problems on a mundane physical level, right? All of those things affect you and calcify the pineal. When the pineal is closed, for an example, and obstructed, it can't receive messages of vibrational frequency or energy, which is how consciousness is transmitted to the individual and how we absorb and read those signals. Well, those signals don't come in clear when that calcification process is heavy within. I always look at tuning in one of the old AM/FM radios, right? When you had the knob. Yeah, again, some of you might be new because some of you were born recently and you're used to all this new digital and technology. But back then, you used to have a radio, AM/FM radio, whether it was in a car or you might have had a boombox, and you had the knob and you had to tune the radio in, right? You had to find your station, and if you didn't get it tuned in just right, there was a lot of static, and you didn't get a clear sound until you played around with it and you adjusted it and got the station. Well, that's the same thing with calcification in the body. Your radio station can't receive the frequency because you're not dialed in, you're not tuned in, and it can't connect. So this is why understanding the integral aspects of your personal daemon and understanding the importance of these things you'll have a better grasp of how you connect with the spirit realm, how you establish your relationships with spirits, demons, gods, goddesses. I'm just using all the titles that people are familiar with. Well, this is how you do it, right? So look at it like you got to get your radio station tuned back the fuck in, because you're turning the knob, but it's not quite coming through clear. Your personal daemon is the facilitator for that. It can't be awoken until you strip away all aspects of the illusionary self. Now, again, there's different ways to do it. That's why I refer you to the Black Ship book. That's a way that, to me, that's a good place to start. Me personally, how I connected with my personal daemon, and my personal daemon manifested to me, and it's just my experience. And I share these briefly. And again, anytime I share personal experiences, it's not to get you to co-sign on them and agree with them. I'm just sharing it, okay? I'm not telling anybody to accept it and co-sign it and believe it. But my personal daemon, I remember when it first manifested to me several years back, it pulled me through the black mirror. And it took me, I think I mentioned this to you guys a few years back, it took me to this place where the trees were all black, the soil was all black, the waters were all black. It took me to this a boat, but it was very tranquil, it was very peaceful. And my personal daemon took me down to a body of water, and I remember as I approached him, it manifested to me in a male form, and as I approached it, it kind of almost looked like, you could say, for the lack of a better word, because I have a representation on my altar, almost like a grim reaper, but really wasn't. It was more like an assassin in a black hooded robe, but had a very mysterious face. You couldn't see the full face. Oh, one eye was covered, but it kind of almost looked like the face of maybe a skeleton, but not quite. I'm just trying to describe it the best way I can. It gave me personal sigils, and one of the sigils it gave me, anytime I look upon it, I can open that porthole and dimension and enter that realm to communicate with him, and showed me a bunch of different things, gave me personal communications, etc., which is personal. I'm not going to get into all the details of that. It's not necessary. But that was my first experience when it was time for me to connect. Sometimes it doesn't happen right out the gate in the first or second ritual you do, if you're looking for that personal manifestation. But he also gave me an instruction. I created a set of black beads that I consecrated that are specifically for my personal daemon. Occasionally I wear them, very rare, but I have it around the icon on my altar, and that's the one, if you ever see sitting on the throne to the left with the staff, and that's a representation of my higher self. So the manifestation, again, I want to be clear, it's not going to be the same for everybody. Some have different ways they see it and connect with it. It's going to vary. There's no set way. Some want to see an image exactly how they see fit. Can it be male, female? Sometimes it's just a presence you sense, right? Sometimes it's just, it strengthens that inner connection or that inner voice that you've always had and you may not have been aware of. So sometimes people are looking for literal manifestations, but those manifestations can happen in various different levels and degrees. So again, I'm saying that and sharing my own personal experiences. It's personal, not for anybody else to accept. So it can happen in a variety of different ways, and we need to be understanding of that. So again, don't email me, or don't be asking, how I know it's gonna happen. Is it gonna happen like this or that? And I don't know. You need to do the work, connecting yourself to the personal daemon, and see how it happens for you. Now, again, I can tell you, and I'm not going to get into that here, we do address that in the shadow work classes. I show people, we have done work, we have done rituals on how to connect with your personal daemon or your higher self, which I will not discuss here, right? That's for Patreon. Not because it's a sales pitch, it's just certain things I keep within a certain structure. That type of stuff and that type of information I want to share with people. I want to know who I'm dealing with face to face, right? I know, look, this is the internet, right? First of all, bottom line, sometimes people will email me with, when I say stupid shit, they want, right? I don't mind helping, giving information, but if you look at, for an example, my channel over the last several years, I have approaching 600 videos on it. I've given so much information and knowledge for free, not because I'm not asking for a pat on the back or a reward, but there has to be a point where I have to cut that off to the point where I have to keep it structured. I'm not going to give everything, right? And I think if you look over the course of the years and the history of my channel and the amount of videos on there and the amount of information and topics I covered, I think I give a lot away. I think there's plenty there. But don't email me, and some people email me with a long list of questions. Look, no offense, time is the key thing I need to be compensated for. I'm not going to respond to an email with 20, 30 questions. What do you think on this? This long email, that's what a spiritual consultation is for. Sign up for an hour, and I will talk to you for an hour or more, depending on how many hours you sign up for a time. Look, we're all busy, right? I'm busy. I don't just do this. And I have to make that clear sometimes, because sometimes people get up in their feelings because I'm not going to answer this long email with 10, 15 questions, right? This is something I love to do. As I said before, I do it on the side. Yes, as I said, yeah, of course I make money because I got to be compensated for my time, because this pulls me away from other things I can do and make money. But again, I don't want to get into this long drawn. I'm not whining or complaining, but at the same token, I'm not going to give everything away for free, especially my time is what I'm saying. So again, if you have more detailed questions you want, don't send me a 20, 30 question email. Just sign up for a consultation. I have no problem sitting with you for an hour. First of all, I don't like typing. All that typing, I'm not a text messenger. I don't like long drawn out emails just because I don't like all that. To me, it's always been like that to me. It's very impersonal. That's just the way I am. I've never been a big text. I still understand how people can be texting all the time. I don't mind a brief text, quick message, that's normal. But I ain't with them long drawn out emails. I'd rather deal with you face to face, etc. Right? But again, I'm saying all that to say, if you, again, are looking for detailed hands-on work or how to connect with your personal demon, that is addressed on the Patreon page through the shadow work classes and some demonic integration classes that are connected to it. Because again, as I've said in the past, those three elements or pillars, though they are separate in their function, they work together. They're connected. They serve specific purposes, but they do work together. And if you want to awaken that personal demon within and really open up your connection to what, when we use this term, the spirit world, that's what connects you to the spirit world, right? When you always talk about this growth, or you're getting these messages or visions, or you get all these thoughts of clarity and this influx of spiritual awakening, right? We hear people talk about that, not just on the occult, the left-hand path, in all these different systems, or they say, we gotta be careful when I say this because some people run with this shit, or they feel like they've been chosen, or they have a spiritual calling, or whatever you want to refer to it as. That's your personal demon communicating with you. That's your true and highest self. That's the reality. I know some people want to spook it out sometimes to some outside supernatural being outside themselves that they might refer to as God or some type of deity. That's not really the case. It's the real you awakening within. So I'm trying to remove all that spookism that comes along with that, right? I'm trying to eliminate all that, because remember, when you go back into those first 7 Hermetic principles, remember the first one, the doctrine of mentalism. All is mental. Mental is all. The universe is mental. Anything that manifests on this plane must first formulate on what we call the mental plane. So before anything comes into existence, even the manifestation of deity or spirit, you must formulate it in your thoughts via the mental plane, and then it manifests itself here, right? So that could create the illusion you think it's coming from somewhere outside of you, but in essence, it's really not, okay? So again, as I did the previous video before this, the importance of shadow work on this path and the importance of it for your spiritual growth, demonic integration, no different, okay? Awakening the personal demon within is critical, okay? It is one of the, again, it's like I said just a couple of minutes ago, look at it as that distributor cap in the older cars. that all the spark plugs are connected to the distributor cap. If the distributor cap don't work, there's no connection. If the personal daemon ain't awakened, you don't really have a connection to the spirit world. Okay? And sometimes you may not, people who are on paths of spirituality or enlightenment or spiritual awakening, you may not understand this concept, and you might attribute it to something else. But believe me, it's not. It's the personal daemon awakening within, and as you grow, that personal daemon becomes stronger and stronger as it emerges. You just start to accelerate on a multitude of different levels, right? And then this is when demons and spirits start to manifest clearly. You start to have your personal experiences with them. You start to see them. You get clear insight. You get clear thoughts and communications, etc. The list goes on and on. That's because the real you is now emerging to the surface. You're not living a life of lies anymore. You're not chasing this persona, right? Before, all of us were not, living in accordance of mastering ourselves. If we all were honest, at some point we were trying to keep up with what was going on out here in this conformist world, whether it was fashion styles, fads, trends. As that saying, keeping up with the Joneses. We're trying to have the flyest car, the nicest kicks, the flyest gear, all that stuff, because we were pressured. We felt like that's what we had to do. And then some of us, like you see today now, especially in this realm where, it's sad, but the youth now is taught as a male. Everybody wants to be a tough guy and a gangster. Not everybody's a tough guy and a gangster. And then this culture to females that, all of a sudden now in this culture that's promoted, females have embraced the culture of whoredom. How to present yourself as a whore on a subconscious and subliminal level, right? Because a lot of it's in the music, it's in the movies. What I'm trying to say is all these personas is what they feed us and we chase after. And all these things are key components of why the personal daemon is suppressed. When you flood yourself with all those components, the daemon is just like, fuck it, I ain't fucking with you until you bury me. Remove all that shit. I can't even reach you because this is something called low vibrational frequency beings. You become a low vibrational frequency being when you are trapped in that mentality. When you are chasing those things. And that is your key point for living. It's no different. People who live their lives just to get, and I'm not being judgmental, but I got to call for what it is. You have people that live their lives, they just work, eat, sleep, shit, pay bills, just so they can go out on the weekend, party, get drunk, get fucked up, go to the club and dance, and then do it all over again, start Monday, right? You become a low vibrational frequency being because you're not cultivating your mind. You're not doing things to spiritually grow. It was the same reason why during the pandemic, a lot of people went but shit crazy. Because, I mentioned this before, it's funny, people, I watched everything on Netflix, I don't know what to do. So you're that much of a low vibrational frequency being that you need to be entertained all the time, which is confirmation you are more connected to your conscious mundane self, because that's the part of you that needs to be entertained all the time. The intellectual part of you is connected to your personal daemon or your true and higher self. So some of us took all that free time to even strengthen our spiritual path, our spiritual growth. I know I did. Okay, I'm not gonna say I didn't watch entertainment movies here and there, but I don't spend my whole day watching Netflix. I don't binge watch series like some people do 7, 8, 9 hours a day. That's crazy to me. It's a waste of time. Okay, yeah, the ones I do get to watch, and when you see me periodically talk about a series or something I came across, I talk about it because I just recently got around to watching some TV, right? I wish I had the time. There's a lot of things I see and interest me. You guys, during the lives and email me, hey, Brother Baniti, check this out. I have a lot of shit saved in my favorites, but I guarantee if I pull that up now and share the screen with you, I probably got shit in my favorites saved going back as far as 2016 that I probably still haven't even watched yet. You guys always point to, hey man, check this here. I wish I had all that time to sit down and watch it. Sometimes I don't. Occasionally, I get some time here and there. I try to, but the most TV I probably watch is because you guys know I shut down during the holidays from Thanksgiving to New Year's. I ain't gonna lie. I sit down. That's the point of the year where I get to watch series, catch up with movies. I have certain traditions I do. Long story short, for an example, you're gonna laugh, but I do it every holiday season. I watch every single Rocky movie because the Rocky movies were an integral part of my life as a child because I fed into that underdog story. That underdog story always appealed to me. Telling, the person you can't do this, or, odds are stacked against you. That individual, that's what that whole Rocky mythology always presented to me. Always was stacked with odds, the impossible and the underdog are coming out victorious. So that always motivated me as a kid. I mean, shit, I could watch, I probably, my wife criticizes me all the time because I watch the shit all the time. But have you watched the same thing over and over? It's one of them movies or anthologies that I could watch it a million times and it feels like it's the first time I watched it because of the message, the energy that I tap into. Probably my favorite series. Going back to when the first one came out in '76 up until even the Creed anthology, But point being, not to get that time of the year during the holidays is when I get to catch up on a little of that. But anyway, having said that, I don't want to run this too long. I think you get the point. The understanding and the serious necessity of awakening the personal daemon within. All right. So having said that, let me wrap this up. Again, if you want to, get in on the classes that I do offer, that is on Patreon, patreon.com/Baniti, Baniti, patreon.com/Baniti, Baniti. Tier 3 is the way to go. Tier 3 will give you access to all 3 of the monthly classes I do on Patreon for Patreon members only. All right. That's the way to get in on all the classes. If you need to contact me for a spiritual reading, just shoot me an email, khnum19@gmail.com. Again, remember, all this new content is being uploaded also on the Primordial Chaos podcast. The link is in the description box here of this video. And again, we are now signing and registering people for the 6th annual Journey of the Black Adept Conference. You can shoot me an email, again, at khnum19@gmail.com, and I will send you that information. All right, until the next video, infernal blessings, and we will talk soon.